Fragrances. We love them, except sometimes we don't, right? That's why we've got our declutters. Sometimes we've got our blind buy fails. I will say for my personal collection at the moment, I'm feeling very happy and satisfied. And I much prefer talking about fragrances in a very positive light and how much I love them and things I'm excited about. But sometimes it is fun to take a step back and reflect on things that just didn't work. And I'm not going to be using my own collection that I'm very happy with right now, but I was curious about Fragrantica. And they don't make it easy for you to be a party pooper. Fragrantica also seems to prefer the positive because they do make it very difficult for you to take a look at things from a low to high perspective. So what am I talking about? So I got curious about what the lowest rated fragrances on Fragrantica would be. It's such a big database with so many thoughts and opinions. And I was like, oh gosh, I wonder what the biggest fails were out of curiosity. And trying to look at the database as a whole, you can only sort by positive things like best selling and top rated. So if you really wanted to see the lowest rated, you'd have to scroll through about 60,000 or so fragrances to see that. So I thought maybe it made more sense to narrow my focus and just pick a selection of fragrances and look at the bottom of that selection. So I started with female fragrances. So, I tend to think that most fragrances are unisex and whatever you want to wear it. But Fragrantica does have a way to narrow by male, female, and unisex. So I narrowed it by female. And then I really narrowed it to just fragrances that came out in 2021. So at that point, I really only had to look at, 600, still a lot. But I looked at the lowest rated fragrances. I also had to do a little more digging because there were some at the bottom there that had no votes attached to them, no reviews. So I wasn't going to penalize a fragrance for just not having a lot of engagement from the community. I made sure that there was a relevant amount of votes attached that really sunk the rating, and at least a few comments about why the low ratings were coming in so that I'd have something to work off of and not just say, this is scored a 1, but I have no reasoning for it. So that was my scientific methodology if you want to recreate my research here. But that being said, I am going to go through the rankings from the highest rated low ranking fragrance down to the ones that I found at the very bottom. So if you do want to see the lowest rated women's fragrance for 2021 on Fragrantica, you're going to have to stick around to the end. My first lowest rated fragrance comes to us from Zara. And I haven't actually tried any Zara fragrances, but I have watched a lot of reviews. And it seems like they do a lot of dupes. They have some unique ones as well. The reviews tend to be pretty positive as far as the quality and how long the fragrances last and the price point especially. They come out pretty positively. So this must be, one that just didn't quite rank as highly as some of those other ones. So this one did get a score of 3.25 out of 5, which is thoroughly mediocre. And it is Bright Gardenia. So Bright Gardenia has top notes of bergamot, middle note is lily of the valley, and base note is freesia. If I had to guess, I would say maybe it's that lily of the valley that's causing some issues. A lot of people do struggle with that note, but it also does have freesia, which some people rank as pretty basic, and that seems to be the top criticism for Bright Gardenia, that it smells very basic and cheap, nothing special or unique. So it's a thoroughly mediocre review, thoroughly mediocre score. So it sounds like if you have it, it might not be sending people running for the hills, but it's just maybe not as high quality or as well received as some other Zaras. My next lowest ranking fragrance is from KKW, Kim Kardashian West. And again, I don't have anything from her house, but I've heard not so great things. Sometimes the style of the bottles will get some I don't know if even raves, but people will say positive things sometimes about the styles of the bottles. Typically, I have heard that the fragrances are just not that well thought out, very bland or basic. They're not really trying to go beyond the stereotypical celebrity fragrance box, the way that I've heard positive things about Sofia Vergara's or Sarah Jessica Parker's or certainly Ariana Grande, sort of taking the celebrity world by storm at the moment. But this particular KKW fragrance is amber, and it has a ranking of 3.19. So again, not out of 5, not terrible, just sort of meh, thoroughly meh. The top notes are bergamot, pink pepper, and green mandarin. Middle notes are white rose, ylang ylang, and jasmine. And the base notes are sandalwood, tonka bean, and cedar. With a name like amber, I was like, but where's the amber? Fragrantica is not a hard science, so there could be, amber in there, and it's just not, for some reason, getting picked up or coming through well. And if you look at the reviews, it does not seem like people are getting amber. The reviews are overwhelmingly saying that people are getting baby wipes. That was, I would say, a full 75% of the reviews were saying baby wipes, baby whites. Honestly, yes, it smells like baby wipes. The ones that diverged from it said that it was kind of powdery. I've got one that says that it's like Dial hand soap, and somebody complaining that it was the third KKW flop that they've spent money on this year. So, again, it seems like this house is pretty, not even hit or miss, just sort of miss for a lot of people. The ones that were sort of middle of the road reviews, someone said that they felt like it really wasn't baby wipes. It was more like Chanel No. 5, like a cheaper alternative to Chanel No. 5. So it seemed like maybe with this one, they were taking a swing toward No. 5. They were going for something vintagey and classic, and I guess maybe missed the mark for a lot of people. And the hits keep coming for KKW, because the next worst one is also from KKW. And this one is Nude Silk with a rating of 3.11. The top notes are green leaves, bergamot, and cassis. Middle notes of peach, honeysuckle, and peony. And base notes of solar notes? Someone explain that to me in the comments. I don't want to Google it. Just, what's a solar note? Musk and white wood. So the comments here is that basically that KKW tried to pull off some sort of dupe and missed the marks. So people were comparing it to Jo Malone's Nectarine Blossom and Honey, which I have, and I think I ranked maybe somewhat toward the middle of my Jo Malone enjoyment. So it's just sort of a okay one to me. But people feel like that has a lot of air freshener vibe to it, so it doesn't really pull off that clean, fresh peach note. It's really more of an air freshening, artificial vibe. So this one said that for a split second after spraying it, I thought it smelled very nice, but almost instantly it turned into a cloying, fruity floral that reminded them of a public restroom air freshener from the 80s or 90s. And then the other one said, kind of wish I'd gotten Jo Malone Nectarine Blossom and Honey. This does smell like peach air freshener after a while. So, sometimes with that peach note, yeah, like I could see it turning on you. It's a hard one to pull off. This one got trashed. I really want to try it now. I'm curious. Okay, so as opposed to the first couple ones that I talked about being low ranking that were just sort of mediocre and bland and boring to a lot of people, this one, it comes from a niche adjacent house, and it seems like they really tried to do something experimental, and it seemed divisive. I guess I would go through the reviews. So there were some positives, but for the most part, the reviews were very wildly negative, but I don't think it's because of a lack of effort on the part of the house. I think they just really tried something and didn't pull it off, or at least it's not hitting with a lot of people. So this is Lily Fantasy from Juliet Has a Gun. I am not overly familiar with a lot of Juliet Has a Gun. I do have which I have reviewed on my channel if you want to take a look. It's not a hit for me. I don't like that one, and I think it's one of their more popular ones. And I also just ordered Not a Perfume, which I know how that's supposed to be utilized, and I'm looking forward to trying it. But Lily Fantasy has a 3.04 out of 5, so it's pretty low for Fragrantica. The overwhelmingly people try to have a purchase bias when they buy something. They want to like it, so they don't thoroughly pan things that often. This is pretty close to a thorough pan. The top notes, and wait till you hear the top notes, and oh gosh, and what it's going for. I think you'll have an image or a smell visual in your mind of what this might be smelling like and why it's not working for people. But anyway, so the top note is bubblegum. Heart notes were tuberose and jasmine. Tuberose could also be bubblegummy, and base notes are ambroxan and amber. So I read those base notes and I went, oh, to me, that sounds like a hot mess. But people that might get excited about that bubblegum note and the cute color of the bottle, they certainly thought they knew what they were getting into, but I guess they were wrong. So that was the real problem here, is that I guess the ingredients didn't really mix well. People were really expecting, between the bottle and between that top note of bubblegum, they were expecting something sweet and did not get it. So here's some highlights from the reviews. So this person said, does Ambroxan smell like rubbing alcohol? Rubbing alcohol is all I smelled at first, and for a long while. Finally, I started picking up white flower, but still with an undercurrent of rubbing alcohol. I'm about to go scrub this stuff off. Somebody else said, all I am able to smell at all is Ambroxan, no florals of any kind, no delightful sounding bubblegum note. This is not what I want to smell like at all. The curtains don't match the drapes with this one. It's not a bad scent, but the marketing and packaging is 100% misleading. And again, that's a lot what I saw. People really were in on that bubblegum note and got more Ambroxan, which is not my favorite either. Hard to pull off. Oof, this person said, my husband told me to open the windows after only one spritz. It is bad. That's a tough review. Those are some tough ones. I'm actually really curious to smell this one now. Obviously not curious to really buy it. It didn't sound like a hit for me, even if it had pulled off that bubblegum note it was going for. It doesn't sound like something that's a fit for my personal taste, but now I'm really curious, right? I kind of want to smell it. And if you smelled that one, please let me know in the comments if you just got Ambroxan or if anyone's picking up that bubblegum. Which brings us to our top two. And I'm grouping these together, even though the scores were different, because the criticism around both of these bottom two was the same. They're different brands, different releases, but the reason people went in hard on both of those is the same reason. So the two here are Secret Potion from Delicad, which was ranked a 2.4. And Creed, wow, Creed. Windflowers, which in my mind, I don't love that name. That sounds like a Victorian code word for farting. I don't like to make fart jokes, but like windflower, no, I don't like that. But it wasn't getting hate for the name. But the score was 2.36 out of 5, which is the lowest score that I could find for a women's fragrance released in 21 that had actual notes attached to it. So why did both of these, Secret Potion and Creed, why are they getting hated by the community? And the reason is that the bottles, and not because they're just bad bottles, but because the bottles are getting written as being knockoffs. Not knockoffs, what's the word? Rip-offs. Basically, they're saying that with Secret Potion and with Creed Windflowers, that they're copying another brand's bottle. And in a way that would make them confusing, I assume, for the consumer, or just lacks creativity in the mind of the fragrance community. So I'm going to show you the bottle comparisons so you can weigh in on this. So for Creed Windflowers, they said that a bottle looks exactly like Guerlain's L'Instant de Guerlain, and I'm going to put them both here. It looks like from my quick research here that L'Instant has had a couple of different versions of the bottle, but this is the one that I could find was closest, so I assume this is the one that they're criticizing. And Windflowers, just for reference, the top notes were bergamot, heart notes of praline, jasmine, base notes of musk, and it doesn't seem like that is at all related to Guerlain's L'Instant. And there also wasn't any reviews available on Fragrantica that had actually tried Creed Windflowers to be able to comment on the scent. So the criticism was strictly related to the bottles there. So tell me in the comments, what do you think? Too close? Maybe a little close? Okay. And the other one was Secret Potion by Delicad. Ooh, people were mad. Okay. So top notes, lemon leaf, bergamot and lime, middle notes of magnolia, hibiscus, white, base notes of white amber, vanilla, sugar, and moss. Comments. What the HEW double hockey stick? What the hell? This is really not respectful. Copying another brand's bottle design from top to toe. Such a shame. And the bottle that they are comparing it to is Anna Sui. And I'm going to put them both up here. Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, these look real close to me. Maybe it's just the same bottle that, they've got a bunch in a warehouse somewhere and Anna Sui sold them. I don't know. I'm sure there's some kind of backstory here that we're just not on the loop on, because that's a very unique looking bottle and it's basically identical. But I have to assume maybe Anna Sui had a warehouse somewhere and sold it to Delicad and now they're getting trashed. Something like that. Maybe I can find the backstory on it. Or if you know the backstory on it, please leave it in the comments. So there you have it. The lowest rated 2021 women's scents as per Fragrantica community. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know because I can slice and dice this data. I love data. I can slice and dice it a bunch of ways. If you're curious about digging into specific notes or doing this for men or unisex fragrances, I'm happy to do some more research for the sake of fragrance. And of course, I will also be back with some more positive videos as well. If you like this video, please like it. If you enjoy all matter of fragrance content, blind buys, hauls, reviews, detailed research, please subscribe to Second is the Best. I upload whenever it strikes my fancy, which lately has been pretty often. That is all for this one. I will see you in the next one.